Admiral Curveth stood on the command bridge of the Dominion warship Eternal Victory, his four eyes scanning the holographic display before him. The blue dots representing the human fleet looked almost pitiful compared to the massive red formation of Imperial ships. 300 Imperial vessels against 47 human ships. The mathematics of war had already decided the outcome. "They are positioning themselves near the asteroid field," observed Fleet Commander Zorath, his scales rippling with amusement. "A defensive formation. How predictable." Curvath made a sound of agreement. He had studied human military history during his journey to this system. Their tactics were straightforward, almost primitive by Imperial standards. They relied heavily on something they called combined arms and asymmetric warfare. These concepts were taught to Imperial cadets as examples of what inferior species did when they lacked proper fleet numbers. The humans had been discovered only 60 standard cycles ago. They had expanded quickly through their small corner of the galaxy, colonizing 17 worlds before they encountered the Dominion. The first contact had not gone well. The humans refused to submit to Imperial authority. They refused to pay tribute. They refused to accept their natural place in the galactic hierarchy. Now they would learn the cost of their arrogance. "Open a communication channel," Curvath ordered. "Let us give them one final chance to surrender." The view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. Female, Curvath noted, with dark hair cut short and eyes that held no fear. She wore a simple gray uniform with 5 stars on her collar. Admiral Chun, according to Imperial intelligence. "Admiral Curvath," she said, her translator rendering her words in the Imperial tongue. "I assume you are calling to discuss terms." "Indeed," Curvath replied. "Surrender your fleet and your colonies. Accept Imperial governance. Your people will be treated fairly as subjects of the Dominion." Admiral Chun smiled. It was a strange expression, one that Curvath had learned meant many things in human culture. This particular smile made him uncomfortable, though he could not explain why. "I have a counter-proposal," she said. "Turn your fleet around. Leave this system. Tell your emperor that humanity is not interested in joining his collection of conquered species." Zorath laughed, a harsh clicking sound. "You have 47 ships, human. We have 300. Your proposal is mathematically absurd." "Mathematics," Chun said slowly, as if tasting the word. "Yes, I suppose it would look that way to you." She ended the transmission. Curvath stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned to his tactical officer. "Begin the attack. Standard Imperial formation. We will crush them within the hour." The Imperial fleet moved forward in perfect coordination. 300 ships arranged in the classic Dominion assault pattern, a formation that had conquered 42 species across 10,000 years. The larger battleships formed the center, flanked by cruisers with destroyers screening the edges. It was a formation designed to maximize firepower while minimizing vulnerability. The human fleet did not move. They held their position near the asteroid field, waiting. "They are not retreating," Zorath observed with surprise. "Do they intend to fight?" "It appears so," Curvath said. "Foolish. Increase speed. Let us end this quickly." As the Imperial fleet closed the distance, the human ships began to move. But they did not move forward to meet the attack. Instead, they scattered, breaking into small groups of 3 or 4 ships each. They spread out across the asteroid field, using the massive rocks for cover. "What are they doing?" Zorath asked. "This makes no tactical sense." "They are dividing their already small force." Curvath felt the first hint of uncertainty. "Continue the advance. They cannot hide forever." The Imperial fleet entered the asteroid field. The larger battleships had to slow down to navigate between the massive rocks. The perfect formation began to stretch and bend as ships adjusted their positions to avoid collisions. Then the first explosion happened. A destroyer on the outer edge of the fleet simply vanished in a ball of fire. Curvath stared at his display. There had been no warning, no detected weapons fire, no enemy ships nearby. Report, he demanded. Unknown, Admiral, the tactical officer said, his voice tight with confusion. Sensors detected nothing before the explosion. 2 more destroyers exploded within seconds of each other. Then a cruiser. Then another destroyer. Ships were dying, and the Imperial fleet could not see the enemy that was killing them. Mines, Zora said suddenly. They have placed mines in the asteroid field. Curvath felt cold spread through his body. Mines were considered a dishonorable weapon by Imperial standards. They were unpredictable, dangerous to both sides, and required no skill to deploy. No civilized species used them. But humans were not civilized by Imperial standards. All ships, halt advance, Curvath ordered. Scan for mines. The fleet stopped. Sensors swept the asteroid field. Thousands of small objects were detected, hidden among the rocks and debris. The humans had turned the entire field into a death trap. We will have to clear a path, Zora said. It will take hours. We do not have hours, Curvath replied, pointing at his display. The human ships were moving again. Small groups of 3 or 4 vessels would appear from behind asteroids, fire a concentrated volley at a single Imperial ship, then disappear before the fleet could respond. They were using the mines and asteroids as cover, striking and retreating, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. This is not warfare, Zora said with disgust. This is the behavior of cowards and pirates. It is effective, Curvath admitted grimly. Over the next 3 hours, the Imperial fleet lost 47 ships without destroying a single human vessel. The humans never engaged in direct combat. They used the asteroid field like a weapon, herding Imperial ships into mined areas, collapsing unstable asteroids onto formations, and constantly striking from unexpected directions. Curvath realized he was facing a completely different kind of enemy. The humans did not fight like the other species the Dominion had conquered. They did not meet force with force. They did not follow the established rules of galactic warfare. They fought dirty, using every possible advantage, no matter how underhanded. Admiral, the communications officer said, we are receiving a transmission from Admiral Chun. The human appeared on the view screen again. She looked exactly as she had before, calm and confident. Admiral Curvath, she said, I notice you have stopped advancing. Having trouble? Your tactics are without honor, Curvath replied. Hiding behind rocks and explosives like frightened animals. Honor does not win wars, Admiral. Results do. Chun leaned forward slightly. I'm going to offer you a choice. You can continue forward through the minefield. You will lose at least half your fleet before you reach us. Then you will have to fight us directly, and I promise you, we have more surprises waiting. Or? Curvath asked. Or you can withdraw. Report to your Emperor that humanity is not worth the cost of conquest. Find easier targets. We have no interest in your empire. We simply want to be left alone. Zorath made an angry sound. This is unacceptable. We cannot retreat from such an inferior force. Curvath raised a hand for silence. He studied the human admiral's face, looking for any sign of deception or weakness. He found none. You speak of more surprises, he said. You are bluffing. Chun smiled again. That same uncomfortable smile. I spent 30 years studying military history, Admiral. Human military history. We have been fighting wars among ourselves for 10,000 years. We have developed more ways to kill each other than you can possibly imagine. What you have seen today is just the beginning. She paused, letting her words sink in. We have weapons that target specific genetic structures. We have viruses that can destroy electronics. We have tactics that turn your own fleet against itself. We learned long ago that when you are outnumbered, you must be smarter, faster, and more creative than your enemy. Curvath felt something he had not felt in over a century of military service. Doubt. Real, genuine doubt about his ability to win this battle. You are a small species, he said slowly. Even if you win today, the Emperor will send more fleets. Larger fleets. Then we will defeat those fleets too, Chun replied. And every time you come, we will learn more about how you fight. We will adapt. We will improve. That is what humans do, Admiral. We learn from our mistakes, and we never stop finding new ways to survive. The transmission ended. Curvath stood in silence, his mind working through the possibilities. The human admiral was right about one thing. Even if he won this battle, the cost would be enormous. The Emperor would demand explanations. There would be investigations, blame, possibly execution. But if he retreated, the shame would be equally devastating. Admiral, the tactical officer said quietly, I am detecting movement in the asteroid field. The human ships are repositioning. Curvath watched the display. The small human groups were forming a new pattern, surrounding the Imperial fleet on three sides. They had used the confusion of the battle to improve their tactical position. Now the Dominion forces were not the hunters. They were the prey. Send a message to the Emperor, Curvath said finally. His voice sounded hollow, even to himself. Tell him that the human military capabilities have been severely underestimated. Tell him we require reinforcements and a complete revision of our tactical doctrine. We are retreating? Zorath asked in disbelief. We are regrouping, Curvath corrected. There is a difference, but they both knew the truth. The Imperial fleet turned and began the long journey back to Dominion space. Behind them, 47 human ships held their positions, watching their enemy flee. 6 months later, the Imperial Military Academy added a new section to their tactical training program. It was titled Asymmetric Warfare and Unconventional Tactics. The textbooks used examples from Earth history: guerrilla warfare, sabotage, psychological operations, deception. The instructors taught their students that these tactics were not dishonorable. They were simply different. And against an enemy like humanity, different was necessary. Admiral Curvath attended the first lecture as a guest speaker. When a young cadet asked him what lesson he had learned from his encounter with the humans, he thought for a long moment before answering. Never assume you understand an enemy simply because you outnumber them, he said. And never, under any circumstances, underestimate a species that has spent its entire existence fighting itself. They have practice that we cannot match. The Dominion never invaded human space again. Instead, they offered a treaty of mutual respect and non-aggression. The humans accepted. Admiral Chun retired 5 years later. She spent her remaining days teaching at the Earth Military Academy, passing on the lessons she had learned. Her students would go on to establish humanity as one of the most respected military powers in the galaxy, not because they were stronger, not because they had more ships or better technology, but because they understood something that older, more powerful civilizations had forgotten. War was not about honor or tradition. War was about survival. And humanity had survived everything the universe had thrown at them for millions of years. They were not about to stop now.